Paolo, it is such a joy to speak with you. I was thinking about this on the way here that now I feel like I have talked to you at very important moments of your career. Like I interviewed you right after you got drafted, then I interviewed you right after you won Rookie of the Year in Cannes, and now I get to interview you as an All-Star. So this is our first All-Star Paolo interview. I'm very excited about. Is it still like surreal to hear that you were an All-Star?
It was.
Yeah.
I think just the whole process of sitting there, with my team watching the selection, and then me being the last name call, just the way it happened was pretty suspenseful. And then once you get there, especially Sunday night, just the game itself, that was just a crazy experience, being around all those guys and just in the locker room and just the whole experience of being an all-star. It was dope.
So forever, when you think about your first ever All-Star weekend, what will be the memory that sticks out the most?
From this past All-Star game, I would say just the congratulations and the love that I got from all the guys who've been there before. Pretty much everybody came up to me at least once and just said, congrats, and just showed their love and support. Just reminds you that the NBA is a brotherhood, and guys, even if you don't know them like that, they're paying attention, and they recognize when you're a young player coming up, how big it is to be an all-star. So I think just hearing it from Steph, Bron, Kawhi, all these guys who I've watched my whole life, it meant a lot to me for sure.
Do you leave that weekend feeling almost like a different respect level exists about you?
I think for sure, because I think coming into the league, as a young player, that's what that's what you want, that's what you search for, that's kind of what you're trying to get to, is that level of respect amongst your peers where, guys kind of recognize what you do and, respect your game and who you are as a player. And, to be an all-star, you got to be consistent, you got to win and do all the little things. So just to be there, like I said, with those guys, it meant a lot. And I think those guys also just recognized just what I've been doing so far.
Yeah. And I know you got all your East teammates to sign your shoes.
Yeah.
I know Dame was the last signature.
Yeah.
Who was the first?
Who was the first? I think it was Jaylen Brown, because he was right next to me. But I didn't start that. I picked that up from the other guys.
Yeah.
So guys, I think Dame, JT, a couple other guys brought me their shoes and had me signed. So I was like, okay, this is what we're doing. I definitely got to get my shoes signed in.
Yeah,
So,
I need my collectible.
Yeah, that's why I was one of the last guys, which is why I was searching for Dame, because I was kind of late to the party. But I seen that's what guys were doing, and so I definitely tried to get mine.
Now, I know that they all mean a lot to you, but is there one signature that you really hold close on that shoe?
I would say Giannis and Dame. Those are probably the two. I think those two the oldest guys. Probably been around the longest. Giannis obviously got a ring, but all those guys though, great players. All guys are on their ways to having great careers. Some are already there. So, hopefully it can be an every year thing for me where I get the team to sign it every time I'm there, and it's just something to look back on. I got the shoe already propped up, nice, so that won't be getting touched.
Yeah, is it next to your Rookie of the Year?
It is.
Oh,
It
look
is.
at that. So you
It
just want to
is.
get that all built out
Yeah,
then.
exactly.
What do you think being an all-star in your sophomore season says about where you stand in this league?
I just think it just shows that I'm trending upward. My game. I think I improved a lot from my rookie season, and I think I became a much, better player, but also more productive, efficient. I think my rookie year was good, but I was a lot of, you could just tell I was a rookie. I think just the way I played, some of the struggles I had at certain times. But I think this year I really kind of built that consistency on both ends of the floor and just became better in all areas. And so I think it just shows that I'm trending upward and that, I'm here to stay. I don't want that to be my only all-star. I don't want that to be, a once in a every once in a while type of thing. I want to be there every single year. I think one of the things about your first all-star is that you want that again and again. You want to, feel that feeling, be in that environment with those guys, because it's a highest honor.
Yeah, it's special. What moment in the NBA really showed you that you belong amongst the elite? What in-game moment for you?
I think I mean, yeah, I felt like I belonged, right away. I think I started off very well. I think my first like 5 games were very, I think I scored whatever it was. I think my first 5 games were all above 20 points, and I came out playing well. But I think playing against KD for that first time in Brooklyn, which was like in November or December, and he said something to me during the game and was like, "Yo, I need that jersey after the game." And this is like middle of the game, while we're going at it, we're guarding each other. So, just him showing that respect and us battling out for the rest of the game. They beat us. It was a close game, and I just remember kind of feeling that, that validation, coming from a guy like him. Because those are the guys that I look up to, the top of the top. So obviously I feel like I belong just amongst the league as a whole, but when you get that kind of stamp from a guy like Kevin or anybody else, it hits a little different.
Absolutely, because it also means during that game, like KD saw something in you,
Exactly.
for sure. Do you feel like a star in this league?
I think I'm getting there. Coming in as number 1 pick, you got a lot of expectations. You're expected to be a star. And, I've always been very confident in myself and in my game. I think I'm just trying to learn the other stuff that comes along with it, the media and just carrying that load of, being the face of a franchise. You got to be, not only a model on the court with your game, but off the court, you got to be someone that the franchise wants to represent. And so just trying to keep getting better with that and learning the ins and outs. But, yeah, I think I'm definitely on my way to being a star. And, I'm just going to keep working because that's where I want to be. So.
Yeah, you better say it with your chest.
Yeah.
I hear you. I feel you. You just mentioned confidence there, and that's something I've heard you speak about at length. Your teammates have talked about it too. What changed in your confidence from last year to this year?
I think my thing's always been, like, my confidence comes from being in the gym and working. So, like, if I go 2 months without touching the ball, I'm gonna step back on the court and I'm gonna be shaky.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those guys that can just go, an extended period. And I gotta be in the gym. I gotta work on my game and build that confidence through my work. So I think this summer I just really honed in. Probably was the best, probably hardest I worked in my life this past summer. Just in the gym, a lot of unseen hours, just with different, even when I was going city to city, out the country, like I was always in the gym. If I wasn't in the gym, I was lifting weights. I was doing conditioning, cardio, like just doing every little thing I could. I was talking to a bunch of vets and guys who have been in the league trying to get little pointers and advice. Like I really just wanted to, have a big improvement in my second year. And so, when you get, All-Star and you get these other accomplishments, it just makes you proud because you know how hard you worked, in the off season. So I think my confidence really just comes from just being in the gym and working on my craft.
So you talk about the off season being kind of one of the hardest working off seasons that you had. I would assume on top of it being hard physically, it was probably hard mentally too, because you saw the mindset that you needed to have to make that next jump.
Yeah.
What is that mindset, and how did you kind of grow mentally through the off season?
Yeah, I think just looking back at your first year and realizing, I think for me it was more of the struggles. I think I did a lot of things well, but I wasn't necessarily satisfied. I came in, wanting to win Rookie of the Year, and I did. But like, as soon as you win Rookie of the Year, like, at least my mentality was like, all right, like I was the best rookie, like that was expected, that's what I wanted. But like now it's time to jump to being one of the best in the league. So that comes with a whole different, mindset, whole different work ethic. So that's just what I was chasing the whole off season, like, and it just was I think just the anxiousness of like, am I going to be able to get there? Like, my second year, I remember Russell Westbrook told me the second year is your hardest year, because you actually have expectations and, teams and players know who you are now. So you got to just work even that much harder. So that was just kind of what drove me the whole summer, was just how much better can I get? Like, where can I improve? And, I came out my first 4 or 5 games and played terrible, of this year. So that was kind of like another mental block that I had to, like, I had to get past that and realize, like, regardless of the start, like I put in all this work. Like I gotta, calm down, relax, get back to who I was, and show it. So I think that was the biggest thing.
Yeah, and you are showing it, to be very clear. So you mentioned Russell Westbrook saying to you that the second year is the hardest year. I think that's very profound because it likely is true. You obviously hear about the sophomore slump, but what they're really just saying is, okay, now we've seen you.
Yep.
We know what to do, kind of.
Yeah.
We understand how you play. And I also think your first year, of course, you won Rookie of the Year and you had a stellar season, but there were moments where you could tell you were still figuring it out.
100%.
Now there's no time for that figuring it out aspect of it. Do you feel what Russ meant when he talked about the challenges of this second year?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, completely. I mean, just the difference from my habits, my mentality from my first year to second year is night and day. I mean, and I'm sure my coaches and teammates will tell you that. Like you said, my rookie year is a lot of like just figuring it out. Mm-hmm. You're dealing with on the court, off the court, traveling, all the games. You never played that many games, let alone just, the difference in, being at Duke where it was like, I'm in the Final Four, I'm, top dog, and then you come to a team and then you guys are struggling, you start 5-20, you start feeling like, I remember we lost like 11 in a row and I was just like, damn,
yeah.
I've never really experienced this. So just trying to, deal with that. And then we got better as the season went on. And then so coming into this year, I think we improved our wins from my rookie year, like plus 12. I think we won like 34 games. So we had a lot of expectations coming into this year. Mm-hmm. So on top of, my expectations for myself, you got expectations for the team. And like the team, we want to be in the playoffs. We want to be, one of the top teams in the East. So you got to figure out how to not only better yourself, but how can I better myself and also help lead the team to the heights that, we want to reach. So it was tough, but I really just locked in on, my habits, trying to eat the right way, sleep. I think sleep's been very important for me, mm-hmm. getting the proper amount of sleep so that my energy is consistent, on a night-to-night basis.
Mm-hmm. You also said something else I think is important, which is essentially that sometimes with winning Rookie of the Year, there can also be a level of complacency. Like you had a goal, you met it, and it's easy to feel like, okay, done. But for you, winning it meant I am no longer judging myself by the other rookies. Like I'm judging myself against the field.
Exactly.
I'm judging myself against everyone else. Yeah. How are you stacking up?
I think I'm stacking up well, man. Like, I look forward to every matchup, no matter who it's against, just because I always feel like it's a chance to prove myself. I still don't feel like, I've proven myself. Like, obviously, I'm an all-star now and, whatever, but I think, myself and even my team, like, we just feel like we got more to prove. And so, only best way to do that is to win in the play, play well. So I think that's been the main thing is winning, do whatever I can to help the team win, but also just every night, going out there with a chip on my shoulder trying to prove something.
You did an interview with Slam Magazine, and in it you were talking about how you were at home watching the playoffs and that it just left a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
What was that taste? How'd you feel?
It just felt like kind of lame. Like that looks so fun. Like this is what it's all about right here, Obviously, we haven't experienced that yet, but I think it hits different when you're actually in the league, playing, and then you're at home just watching, rather than just being a fan. When you're actually in the league and then your season's over while all these other guys are still, playing their hearts out, trying to win these series, like that's just something that as a competitor, like, kind of irked me that I wasn't there. And just as a team, I felt like we had started to play better, and so I knew that we were going to have a shot, this year to get to the playoffs. And I think that just the whole preseason training camp, like that was just the message, from me, from all the other guys. It's like, look, like this is where we got to get to. We had a decent year last year. We improved, but like we can't be satisfied. We got the talent. Yeah. We know what we got, regardless of what anyone else is saying. We know what we got, inside this locker room, and we can be there. So I think we've done a good job this year of keeping that mentality, and we got 20 games left, and we're in a good position. So we just got to keep that mindset, and we'll be where we've been trying to get to.
Well, what did you see in the team? Because I think there are a lot of people that are kind of surprised
For
how
sure.
good the Magic
Yeah.
have been. But you don't seem surprised. I know your teammates seem
No.
surprised that you knew this was coming.
Yeah.
So what is it that you saw that maybe everyone else didn't?
Yeah, I mean, right when I got there, as soon as I got drafted, you know, I remember playing summer league. I think my first game in summer league. I looked to the court, and literally the whole team damn near was on courtside. I mean, it was Cole, Jalen, Franz, Jonathan, Isaac, Mo, Wendell Carter, like the whole team. And so I was like, damn, like, okay. And then we had dinner, and so I got to be around them, and I just, you know, saw the guys that we had. And then early in the year we had injuries, but then once we got healthy later in that season, like we started beating a lot of teams, and people could have said, oh, well, they're not taking y'all serious, but whether they like it or not, like we was beating teams, and we had teams number. So we all had that confidence, I think, built up through my first year. And then coming into this year, I think everybody was healthy going into the off season, which was huge. And we just have a team full of winners. I don't think people really realize, like, we got a lot of guys who've been winning their whole life. So when you put all of us in a locker room, like, how are we not going to win? Like, we all know what it takes. We're all selfless. You know, we're not really worried about who gets what attention or who gets, you know, what accolades. Like, we know that winning trumps all. We're all going to get what we want if we win. So I give credit to the guys in the locker room, the coaches. Coach Mose, he pumps that belief in us, you know, every single day, along with the rest of the staff. So, I mean, it's a real, you know, team effort, and we all love playing with each other too. So it makes it easy.
Yeah, no, it shows for sure. You know, when I interviewed you at Sport Beach, I remember us talking about how dedicated you were to this path to greatness. That, like, what you wanted above all else was to be seen as a great.
Yeah.
And we talked about how you are very self-driven. Now that you have a season under your belt, you're now in your sophomore year, how do you stay motivated by internal factors and not external ones? Because when you're in the league, it gets harder and harder to not be motivated by those things outside of you.
Yeah. I think it's just having a vision of myself as a player, regardless if that vision may seem realistic to some or not. I think it is. And so I'm just chasing that. And so I don't know if I'll ever reach it, but, like, that's the player I'm chasing, you know, that damn near perfect, like, no weaknesses, you know, no holes in his game, you know, can do everything, winner. Like, that's just what I'm chasing. So that's just what drives me. You know, I might have a game where I score, you know, 25 and I feel like I should have had 35, or 30 and I should have had 45. And it's just like, that's what drives me. Is like, I got to be better. I got to, you know, tighten up on this. I might have 10 assists and 5 turnovers, and I'm like, damn, I shouldn't have had, you know, 2 turnovers, you know what I'm saying? So I think just watching film, always critiquing myself, you know, it just drives me. And like I said, I try and chase perfection, even though, you know, you may not ever reach it. It's just what I'm chasing. You know, I hold myself to that standard, and a lot of my teammates and coaches, they always, you know, tell me, you know, take it easy. And so I've also had to get better at that too, because I think my rookie year was like, it was way too much of that. I was way too hard on myself, getting way too frustrated, forgetting that this is my first year in the league. And so this year I think I've helped myself a lot by just, you know, when I do mess up, realizing, you know, what it was that I didn't do right. And then instead of just getting upset and you know, digging myself in a hole, you know, kind of taking it with a different approach, and, you know, really stepping back and seeing how I could have, you know, been better and applying it to the next game or the next practice. And I think my coaches and teammates helped me a lot with that too.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but you seem like a person who is good at things fairly quickly. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, or I'm able to like adjust very quickly. Yeah.
So your frustration comes from when you feel like you aren't getting it maybe in the ways that you should have.
Exactly.
Yeah. And how do you work on that? What is it that you're doing now to make sure that you aren't so hard on yourself that it messes up all the other things you're trying to accomplish?
Because it's like, I think criticism is always, you know, valid, but beating yourself up or telling yourself, you know, you're not good enough, or you're not, you know, whatever, like, that's hurting. That's hurting you. So I think transitioning from doing that to more of like if I get this right, I'm going to be so much better. I'm going to be, I'm going to be at the level that I'm trying to get to. Mm-hmm. So I think more just like using it as motivation to better yourself rather than, a reason to just, kill yourself or your game and take it there. So I think I'm still getting better at it. I'm not there yet. There's still some moments where I got to chill, but I think it's been a big improvement for me.
Well, it's interesting you say this because, and of course, this is just me as an observer. I might be totally wrong. But you, of course, had that really beautiful moment when you hit the game winner against the Pistons, and you had the emotional post-game. But what stuck out to me, and as I remember you kept saying how frustrated you were because you played badly.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I wonder how much of this emotion and the tears is actually that he's upset with himself.
Yeah.
Mixed in with the fact that he hit the game winner.
No, it was more of that. I mean, because like that whole game, I was just battling myself in my head because I was really sick. But my mentality was like, look, I'm out here, like, like mind over matter. Like we gotta win this. I gotta play. Like, forget being sick. Like, I got enough in me to be out here, so I got enough to have a solid, decent game. And my body just wasn't responding. Like, I remember I took a wide open three, airballed it completely. I think I drove one time, had like a shot right in front of the rim, airballed it, and I was like, what the hell? Like, I ain't never airballed a layup, but it's just, and like my body just wasn't responding to me. So the whole game, I'm just shaking. Like, I just couldn't believe it. I'm just like, man, this is bad. Like, I can't even barely be out here right now. And so they ended up coming back. We were up the whole game, and so the fourth quarter they ended up coming back, and you could just feel our vibe as a team was sinking. And so, and I was out of it. I can't lie. And so my teammates and coaches, like, they see me, and they just kept, telling me, like, you're good. You gonna make a play. Like, stay with it. You gonna make a play. You gonna make a play. And I wasn't sure, honestly. Like, I was like, man, I don't know. Like, not how I'm feeling right now. And so when the game got to where it was, tied game, like, coach was like, you taking the last shot? And I was like, all right. And so in my head, I'm just like, look, all this energy that you haven't had, just give me one play. Like, give me this one shot right here. Because I had just missed 2 free throws in the clutch to put the game away. We were up 2, and I missed 2 free throws, and they came back and scored. So I was already, like, messed up. Like, God, I just missed these free throws. Like, this is bad. Like, I don't even, like, every time I get some clutch free throws, I knock them in. Yeah. So the fact that I missed them was, like, already messing with me. So when I got the chance to take the last shot, and then just the way it all happened, like, it went in, it was and one, like, it was super emotional. And, like, I damn near almost was about to cry right after. Like, it was that emotional. Like, I was just had so much pent-up, emotion through that game. And when I had to do the interview, I was like, please don't cry. But it was too much to hold in. So, a lot of people hit me because everyone that knows me know I don't cry about nothing, let alone in front of some cameras. So people were hitting me like, man, is everything all right? Like, are you going through something? Yeah. And I was like, man, I'm just sick as hell. Like, that's all it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's just.
Yeah, but no, this makes total sense. Like, hearing you say that you were just mad at yourself, because I could tell by how you were answering the questions. Like, one of the first things you talked about was just that you were frustrated with how it had gone because you knew that you were better than what you were showing.
Yeah, like, that's what was so frustrating. Is like, I'm out there playing so bad. I'm like, these dudes on the other team probably think I'm trash. I know whoever's watching this thinks I'm trash, like, but I don't feel like myself, and there's really nothing I could do. So, yeah. But I got a lot of positive feedback, though. A lot of people, said that, they appreciated me showing.
It was a great moment.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic moment because it showed, really, honestly, that you care very deeply about this.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of the times in the league, the more you do this, the care goes down. But it is so clear that, like, this to you is your gift. It is your craft. Like, you care about the product that you are putting out there night in and night out, regardless of who you're playing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I think that, honestly, was everyone's takeaway from that moment. But what did you learn about just your mental fortitude that night?
Yeah, I mean, I think it proved to me what I think I've been proving myself this season, because I think I've had a couple moments where, my first year I would have spiraled and probably took myself out the game, but just being able to, keep a steady, keep a cool head and being able to realize, like, look, regardless of how this game's going, I got a chance to win this game. And, like that game went from being the most forgettable game ever. Like, if we just won that game by whatever 6 points, and it was, like, I would never think about that game ever again.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it ended how it did, and, I hit that shot and I played, so miserable, like, it's a game I'll never forget, just because I think it just showed the perseverance in that moment. It was a regular game, against Detroit, and it came down to the wire. And so I was pretty proud of myself after it, just being able to gather up the energy to knock that shot down. But I give my teammates a lot of credit, because I'm telling you, they kept me, like, I was sinking, and they kept me above water, because I was ready to give up for sure.
Do you remember anything like your teammate or coach said to you that really kept you afloat in that moment?
Yeah, I'm talking about because everyone could see I was just I couldn't even, like, really talk. Yeah. Like, I was just had no energy, and so guys were just telling me, like, P, you good? Like, we rocking with you. We're rocking with you. We got you. Like, that last play came. I remember Jonathan Isaac, when Coach said I had the last shot, Jonathan was right there and was like, let's go. Like, come on. Mm-hmm. And so, when guys are doing that, like, you got to respond. And so I give them all the credit. I remember there was a point in the game, like, earlier in the fourth, where I came to the bench. I said, look, man, I ain't got nothing for y'all. Like, I'm going to try and do all the little things. I'm going to box out. I'm going to grab a rebound. Like, but scoring, like, I don't got nothing right now, fellas. Like, and so just them keeping that belief, it meant a lot to me.
For sure. And you all leave games like that so much stronger, so much closer, and things you all will absolutely need in the playoffs too. Exactly. So that was an important game. So I wanted to have you on the show for a variety of reasons, but the number one to me was that despite having a fantastic season, leading a 4-seed Magic team, I feel like you aren't getting much attention, or at least the attention that you deserve. Do you feel that way at all?
I would be lying if I said I didn't, but I don't look at it as a bad thing, because I feel like it's been the story of my life basketball-wise. I mean, I've always been a fairly highly touted player, but, like, since the 9th grade, it's been the same story. I mean, I got screenshots from 2018-19 of articles that were written where they would say, I was this, I was that, I wasn't going to be this, or I was only going to be this, I couldn't get to that point. So, like, it's always been there. And so I've gotten used to it, and I've gotten used to kind of working in the shadows and then popping up at the right time. So I feel like that's what's happening right now. Like, for me and the team and the Magic in general, it's like, whatever, we're not getting the attention, the TV games, whatever you want to say, but we're the 4 seed, and we're going to be on TV in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So it's like, eventually it's going to come to the light. And so I feel like that's what's been happening, my whole career, and I'm used to it. But I definitely think that
is?
I don't really know. I couldn't tell you. I think we're a very entertaining team.
You are.
Yeah, I think if people watched us, they would fall in love with us fairly quickly. But for whatever reason, we haven't got that recognition. But I think no one in the locker room is tripping. Like, we know that winning trumps all. And so, once we get in the playoffs, all those games will be in front of everybody, and we'll get a chance to show it. But till then, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing.
So you mentioned that having the screenshots of things from a while ago, and I'm wondering how you kind of use this fuel, because as I do when I do these interviews, I saw one of the tweets that you faved, and it actually said, Paolo is the most disrespected number 1 pick in some time. It said it doesn't make sense. Do you use that as motivation? And is that a tweet that you also somewhat see the validity in?
For sure. I mean, I just think, people have been very critical of me, just at certain times, and it is what it is. But I think the one thing people can never say is I'm not a winner. No matter where I've went, no matter where I played, I've always won. And so from high school to college to the league, like, winning follows me. And so that's what I take pride in. Like, I'm going to be, as a player, I'm going to get better. I'm going to improve. I'm going to work tirelessly to get better in, all the areas. But winning is like, that's my addiction. That's all I really care about. And so that's what matters to me. And so regardless of the critique and the, whatever you may have to say, it's like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to win. I'm going to find a way to win. And so that's always been my thing. But as far as like the disrespect or, whatever that is, like, I think it all will change, eventually. But I mean, I can't really put a reason as to why it is that way. But I think if you watch me play, you'll realize that, I'm on my way.
Yeah. And how important is it to you, or I guess, how do you make sure that whether it is someone not talking about you or someone not giving you the attention that you need, that it does not affect how you see yourself? How do you make sure of that?
Yeah, I think that's just it's just in me. I mean, just that self-confidence, that self-belief. Like I said, I know how much work I put in and how crazy I am about just being the best. And so, and I also know, like, my peers respect me, coaches respect
Absolutely.
me. So it's like, the media or whoever talking heads, like, they've been saying, they've been critiquing me for a while now. Like, they told me I wasn't even a top 3 player coming out of the draft. And they told me I wasn't going to be, this, I wasn't going to do that. Literally since the 9th grade, like, I got receipts. So it's like, I'm used to it, but I love proving people wrong. And I love just winning. And I love, when I do win or when we do win, it's like, everybody's like, oh, well, I won how? How did that? Oh, and it's like, man, it's the common denominator, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just going to keep doing it.
Yeah. I also think, too, it is genuinely a testament to just, you aren't who or what people say you are. Like, you are just who you are, and you are who you believe you are. And you are right. You have won at every level. That's not anything they can take away from you. And something I know you're seeing now, too, is winning cures all.
Exactly.
In the NBA, when you're winning, everything else takes care of itself. But I was reading how your teammate, Cole, was like, Paolo is just the most underappreciated player in the NBA. I know that before the league, you probably heard people say that about players. Now that you're in the league, do you have a different understanding about what appreciation means in the NBA?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just the public perception, so whether that's media or what they're talking about on ESPN, I think that plays a big part. But like I said, I think what means the most to me is like just the peers and what your peers say and what coaches say, and the feedback that you get from them is what means a lot to me, because those are the guys I respect the most. But I think that perception of what Cole said and whatnot, I think is just the lack of attention that we get as a team, just on the national scale. You get a lot of people saying oh, well, who cares about the Magic, or the Magic haven't been good in forever, and it's like, okay, that was then. It's like, what about now? You know what I'm saying? So it's early though. We got a young team. I'm in my 2nd year, so it's a lot. I'm sure there's gonna come a point where we're gonna be tired of
of all the cameras.
Exactly. So and that's something that Coach Mose he always reminds us, is like, look, no one's talking about y'all right now, but it's gonna come a point where it flips. So you just got to be ready for it.
For sure. And I mean, this is such a fun, exciting team to watch. It's interesting because normally young teams are not good at defense, but you guys figured it out.
Good.
Yeah. How have you been able to figure it out?
I think it's a combination of things. I think our personnel, the guys we have on the roster, we have a lot of very smart, high IQ players. I think it starts with Jalen Suggs, Markelle Fultz, Anthony Black. Those 3 in the backcourt guarding the way they guard, they set the tone. And then on the back end, we got a lot of size and versatility. Me and Franz guarding, we can guard bigs, we can guard wings, we can switch. And then it's the coaches. That was like the staple right away. It's like, look, defense is going to be our calling card. Offense, we're going to figure it out. We're going to, that's going to come as we get better. But like, defense has got to be the thing we can fall back on. And so I give credit to them just not letting us slack on that end, make sure we're always giving 100% on that side of on both sides of the floor, but really on defense, focusing on our schemes and locking in on that in and game out. And I can't fail to mention Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah.
He is ridiculous a defender. I don't think I've ever seen a defender quite like him. I think he's a guy who, when he gets on a playoff scene or in front of, on TV, I think a lot of people are going to realize just how great he is on that end. Like, he's 7 foot, ridiculous instincts, like the best instincts on defense I've ever seen. I kid you not.
I love this answer.
Yeah. I'm taking time to talk about him because he doesn't get talked about, and he's, like I said, a special defender. So when he's on the court, like, I literally will let a guy go to the rim just because I know he is
right there
to block it. So that just speaks to kind of how he covers for everybody.
Yeah, that's so great. So on the subject of defense, so I just had Trae Young on the show and we were talking about this. For your team to be so good at defense in a league where we don't always see defense, how much pride do you take in that? But then also knowing that you all have made that your calling card, how have you seen it really separate you? Just the sheer fact that you are putting a focus on defending.
Yeah. No, it definitely it's a game changer. I think just with how hard we play and, like you said, the focus that we have on that side of the floor, game in and game out. I think, like you said, in the league, like, offense comes. I ain't gonna say it comes easy, but teams, you score. Sometimes the game can get to just back and forth where it's just, you're kind of trading baskets. And so we take pride in, like, not doing that. If we could be up, a couple points on a team, but if they got 65 or 62 at the half, like, we're in the locker room pissed. Like, that's not acceptable. So, we're trying not to let guys score. That's our thing. Like, we got to get stops. Offense, we're going to score. We're going to be at the rim. We're going to make shots, but, like, we got to get stops to win.
Yeah.
So that's been our thing all year. And, like I said, it's easier said than done. It takes togetherness, and it takes also the personnel. We got a lot of guys that can go out there and defend. And it takes a lot of just communication. Like, there's a lot of little things that go into being a good defensive team that, I think we do.
And just effort.
Exactly, just effort, night in, night out.
Yeah.
We got young legs. We got guys who, like to guard. So it's just a combination of all those things. And, we know that that's our superpower is our defense and using our length and athleticism.
Okay, so on the flip side, tell me the 3 guys that have defended you the best.
3? It's a good one. Yeah, it's interesting. I always love, like, going into a game, and I love, like, right when the ball tips off, you see the guy who steps in front of you to guard you. Like, that's always fun for me. But I would say Lou Dort. He's like 6'4", but he's like 230. So, like, he's moving side to side, and he's pretty strong. So Lou Dort. I think Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's a pretty good defender.
What makes Jimmy good? In your matchup specifically.
I think he's just, one, he's very smart, very cerebral. He's like, he roams a lot. So, like, you'll have the ball. He might not even be guarding you, but you'll have the ball, and he'll just, random double team and just come steal it, or he'll shoot the gap, steal the pass. Like, he's just very smart in that area. And he's also strong, athletic. He can move with great hands. Like, he's just a very solid, smart defender. And then the Heat in general. Yeah.
It's so ingrained in them.
Yeah. Coach
Spo is like, y'all gone.
Coach Spo is a dog, man. I got to give it to him. So Jimmy, and then third, I would say Drew Holiday.
Of course.
Drew Holiday. Yeah. It's usually the smaller guys that give me the most problems. Bigger guys, I feel like I can usually take off the dribble. Or,
you can get a step on the
exactly.
bigger guys.
But the smaller, stronger guards that are, very good moving laterally, great hands, those are the guys that I struggle with sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, outside of the defense that you are playing, outside of also the great offense that you're playing, and the team camaraderie and all the things, you also have just brought what it feels like a renewed spirit and energy to Orlando. I see how big the crowds are this year. It's not what they used to look like. What responsibility do you have to Orlando and to this franchise?
I think just, helping bring back, that feeling that they, had, whether it was with Shaq, Penny, with T-Mac, with Dwight, like those were the golden days. And you can just tell the fans, like when I got there, like the fans just were so, just ready to feel that again. And so, I just felt the love and support right away. And then, as the number one pick, as the guy they're all looking at, like you want to bring that, like you want to bring that feeling back. And like I just remember, my rookie year, I think we played the Celtics. It was our home opener against the Celtics, like third game of the year. And it was like sold out. The arena was sold out. And this was coming off a rough season the year before. And we were just on the sideline in the huddle. And I think Gary Harris came up to me and was like, P, this is crazy. Like, it hasn't been like this since I've been here. Like, just the crowd, the energy. And so I was like, damn, that made me think just how much those guys who had been there already before me appreciated, just the crowd and the energy being there for the team. And so, like, once you feel that, you want that every game. And so this year it's been, I think we've probably had 4 or 5 different sellouts where it's been setting records, attendance records. And, there's been a couple games this year where whole crowd standing up, chanting defense and just stuff that, like we haven't experienced in a minute, So that's just what you want to bring on a consistent basis. And, playoff basketball and all those things, I think, is what Orlando deserves. And as a city, as a franchise, and, as players, we want that, responsibility. We want that, that burden of, trying to bring Orlando back to, great heights.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned, the Magic have had a plethora of great players. And as we talk about that being where your goal is and what you're chasing, now that you've played, like, does it really feel more attainable than ever, like being a great?
For sure. I mean, you go through these games and the seasons and, you reach new heights, you get these wins, and you see your team, we're 4th and we're playing really well. And so it just, you believe it and we've been talking about it, but now it's happening. So it's like, why can't we go, make a run? We've been talking about that. Like everything we've talked about, we've done so far. So it's like, why can't we keep doing that? And so it's exciting. I'm glad to be Orlando Magic. Like, everybody was, I think when I first got drafted, everybody was like wondering like what it was going to be like. Was it going to work? Was I the right pick? And so I'm just happy that, I am where I am, and it's working out because I think we got a special group and got some special guys, man, and we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah. No, that was, by the way, one of the crazier draft nights that I've been a part of.
It's crazy.
So, I mean, I know it was really crazy for you, but to your point, it's like everything worked out the way that it was supposed to. Well, off the court, I absolutely love your dedication to the Boys and Girls Club, what you're doing in Seattle, what you're doing in Orlando. I first want to know why you feel so connected to that organization.
Just because that's where I spent majority of my childhood days. If I wasn't in the gym with my mom, I was in the gym at the Boys and Girls Club. I used to go there, after school, plenty of days, do homework. Then we'd have basketball practice, be there from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., just having fun being a kid. I built a lot of friendships there growing up, a lot of mentors there, coaches, counselors. It just taught me how to just be a person, just build relationships. You are around different kinds of kids and different schools, and it just teaches you how to be in the real world. And so it was just very important to me. And I remember being in the Boys and Girls Club, growing up, and I remember it's like Seahawks players would come and they would always do give backs, come do school visits, and do all these things. And this is when the Seahawks were top of the world, Legion of Boom, golden days. And so I remember looking at those guys, and I played football, so those guys were like superheroes to me and everybody else. And so just when I made it to the NBA, that was one of the first things that I wanted to do was give back to the Boys and Girls Club, not only in Seattle but also around the country, just because I think it's just a great way for kids to, even if you're less fortunate, you can go to the Boys and Girls Club and, you can literally do whatever you want. You can, play basketball, get into whatever sports. You learn how to, be a good student and be around, just different people. So been able to interact with some of the kids in different cities around the country, and it's been dope getting to know them.
Yeah, because you said, so it's more than just what you're doing in Seattle and Orlando. You try to do this when you're traveling for games, correct?
Yeah, so like road games, Atlanta this year, Minnesota.
Love it.
New York. I've done, a couple different cities as well as Orlando, where, you bring like 12, 15 kids, sometimes high school, sometimes middle school, and they get to come watch the game, watch me warm up, come down to the court, say hello.
And that's the starting five that you're doing,
that's
correct?
the starting five, and, just get to talk to them, and I always try and spend, a good amount of time. I don't just try and high and by. I always try and talk to them, see what they do. Some of them play basketball, some of them don't, boys and girls. So it's cool, and they always got, they're always happy and have just great looks on their faces because they don't really get to experience stuff like that, and so I know how important it is, to them and to me as well.
Well, you know how you're talking about growing up and the Seahawks would come and see you, and to you they were like superheroes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're thinking about you.
That's when I got to pinch myself sometimes.
Yeah.
That's the moments that really kind of make me, realize where I'm really at, because that doesn't seem like long ago when I was, I got pictures with Bobby Wagner, Earl Thomas, like those guys were, like I said, top of the world to me. So getting to see those kids and the way they, talk about me, the questions they ask me, it's like, dang, I used to do the same exact thing. So
I love that.
It's nice.
No, it's really beautiful that you give back in that way, especially because it is so meaningful and personal to you. So that's great. A few more for you. You just mentioned some football players. I know you played football. I think you played quarterback.
Yeah, quarterback.
Okay, so I have to ask you, is Mahomes the best you've seen, or who's your GOAT?
Yeah, Tom Brady broke my heart, so it's hard giving him, he is the GOAT, 7 chips, but he should have 6. I'll just say that. Should have 6.
As a Falcons fan, I feel the same way, unfortunately.
He should have 5, right? He always finds a way.
He should have 5.
He always finds a way. But no, Mahomes is definitely, I think, the most just pure, raw talent I've seen play quarterback. And I actually got a chance to meet him, too, and talk to him after I got mistaken. We kind of became cool just by that in itself. But he's a cool dude, great guy.
Yeah.
And but he's a guy who you can tell is like when it's go time, he turns into a whole different animal, and I respect that about him.
Yeah. So I know you played, of course, but were you good? Do you feel like you could have really done something, or you were just like, I'm too tall, I can't do it?
I got to that point where I was too tall, but I definitely could have done something. If I would have topped out at 6'4", 6'5", for sure would have stuck with football.
Really? Who's your comp? QB comparison.
Comp? Oh, I would say. See, I could run. I could really run, but I love sitting in the pocket. So maybe like a Josh Allen, maybe Cam, but Cam probably ran more than me.
Yeah.
But I would say, Josh Allen runs a lot too. Maybe who's a pocket passer that can run?
I would say
maybe like CJ Stroud.
I was about to say maybe a CJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say probably CJ, because CJ's, not that these other players do this at all, but CJ's first instinct is never to
throw.
run.
Yeah,
he's always looking to throw, but if he knows it calls for it,
exactly,
he's gonna get it done.
That'd be my comp.
You
CJ.
guys, CJ. Okay, yeah. So Paolo's another CJ Stroud. You heard it here first. Yeah. So funny enough, I hit up Jason and said that I was going to be talking to you, and sometimes I just ask him, what should I ask a player? Is there anything interesting? I don't know what this means, but I guess maybe you do. He said, ask him to tell you about the Wilson dorm and how every one-and-done player basically stays in the same dorm room.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that is true.
Okay, so what is it? What is he talking about?
Wilson is a dorm on East Campus at Duke, and it's very storied. When you first get there as a freshman in the summer, you get the or on your visit, you get the history lesson on it. Like you said, every freshman going back to whoever has been in that dorm, stayed in that dorm, lived in that dorm. And it's a legendary dorm for sure. It's pretty old.
Yeah.
You stay with all other students, boys and girls. And so you're just around, everybody. You're not off to the side. You're not isolated. You're just in it, like a regular student.
Yeah.
And that's something that Coach K, he took pride in. He wanted, his players to have that college experience of, not being elevated, just kind of being a student and being around everybody else. So I remember at first I was like, what? Like, because you take visits to other schools and guys stay. They got their own buildings and gated off places. And Duke's like, nah, you guys are with everybody else. So at first you're kind of like, okay. And then, you get into it and it's dope, man. I was glad that I did that. And, Wilson is definitely a legendary building.
But it also has to be cool knowing with how storied the program is generally that, like, so many greats have stayed in the place that you were at. Is there one, like, Duke player that you think this is cool, that, like, this person was also in Wilson dorm?
I mean, yeah, when you think of, like, it's
There's
all of them.
been a lot.
It's all of them, yeah. It's just who you want, you can name it. Zion, RJ, JT, BI, the list goes on and on. And yeah, it's lineage. Like, the guys are there. So I'm sure they got guys staying in Wilson. Cooper Flagg be up in there in Wilson next year. So
y'all gonna be crazy next year.
Oh yeah, we gonna have a monster class.
The roster's
monster class coming in. Shout out to Coach Shire.
Yeah.
But no, it's just a good experience, and you get to, be around other students and talk to other students, and you see them every day, walking in, walking out. So it's just very nice, and it's something that I don't think you appreciate until you leave, because I think I remember, my last couple of days in Wilson after season was over and, it was time to leave. Like, I remember being like, damn, I'm gonna miss this place, man. I'm gonna miss being in Wilson, driving through campus and, people bringing their families to the dorm and, being like, this is where Paolo stays. This is where the guys stay. Like, it's cool. So it's definitely colleges, especially in Durham. Like, I tell people all the time, I don't have one bad memory from Duke or being in Durham. Like, everything from the people, from the coaches, classes, like, it was just a overall positive experience. Like, it was definitely a shock at first, just kind of having that celebrity status of being
and there's a lot. There is so much spotlight there.
Yeah, it is. But like I said, it's no bad memories. Like, people were so supportive. Like, win or loss, people always, were there, like, lifting you up. I'd come back, after a loss, and people would be like, hey, like, you guys are going to get them next week, or you guys are going to get a win. And it'd just be like, thank you. I appreciate that,
I love that,
So, yeah.
Amazing. Okay, 2 more questions for you, and then I will let you go. Something you have discussed before is just your high IQ, and of course we see it when we are watching you play. But I wonder what having a high IQ means to you. And then also tell me some guys around the league that you look at and say, that is what it means to have high basketball IQ.
Yeah, I think having a high IQ, obviously is, I think, being able to not only have a feel for your game, but also your teammates and everyone around you. So, sometimes, you got to know when a guy has it going or when a guy needs a touch, and be able to, facilitate that. I think that's one of my responsibilities. Just having that feel for, okay, this guy has it going. Like, let's get him the ball, like, in his spots. Where does he like the ball? Where does he, where is he, getting his shots at? And just learning that. I think that's been something this year that I've gotten a lot better at, is knowing my teammates and where they want it. And then also just having a feel for, I think after your first year in the NBA, you realize how repetitive it is, how repetitive the game is, whether it's the actions, the coverages. And so being able to manipulate that, like, you look at some guys, like LeBron obviously is, like, I think the pinnacle of that. My first time playing against LeBron, I was like, this guy is, like,
different.
Like, he was just controlling everything, like, literally up there standing, pointing that guy, like, yo, come here, like, set here where you gonna cut, like, it's gonna be open, trust me. Like, I'm just watching, like, damn, like, he done seen this for 19, 20 years. Like, this is probably, like, he knows he could do this with his eyes closed. I think Luka, the guy who manipulates the game at a high level, there's a lot of guys who are just savants when it comes to that. And so I think having the IQ But also defensively too. I think there's a lot of guys who have that IQ on that end and knowing, guys' tendencies.
Yeah, you mentioned Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy,
Yeah.
Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah.
He's very good at that. So I think that piece is a big part. And I think just having that IQ though, I think some of it's naturally, but also some of it is experience. Like there's a certain level that you can't reach without the experience.
Yeah, some comes from just everything that you have seen.
Yeah.
All right. Well, lastly, I think that, of course, the NBA is a brotherhood, and it's a responsibility of so many of you to make sure you are educating the people that come up next. You have won many awards. You have broken the records, done the stats, all the things. But with Rookie of the Year, you really know what it means to be that. And, of course, Wemby is a huge favorite to win Rookie of the Year this year. What would you think Wemby should know about what it means to win that award? What do you wish you knew after you won that award?
I think the biggest thing is, he was the number one pick. I'm sure he was the favorite coming in to be Rookie of the Year. So now it's, he has to reach a new level. I think that was my biggest thing. Like I said, okay, I'm the best rookie, as I should. But, now it's the field. And I'm sure in his head, he's not going to be satisfied being a Rookie of the Year. He wants to be, the best center in the league. So I think that's next. I think me and him are both chasing that, and I think that's just going to be his battle is, reaching that new level, taking it to the heights that I'm sure he knows he can take it to. And I think that's just the great thing about being a young player in this league, especially number one pick Rookie of the Year, is that you have all these lofty expectations, not only from yourself, but everybody else. And so just being able to, motivate yourself and live up to that is the biggest thing. So I think, he's having a great year. Mm-hmm. He's probably going to be Rookie of the Year. And I think he's going to, like I said, that rookie year, just figuring it out. So next year, I'm sure he's going to take another big jump, and he's just going to keep reaching new levels. So
I love that. Beautiful answer. Paolo, you're a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. I feel like I learned so much about you, and I appreciate you giving me your time and your space. So thanks so much, Paolo. And good luck in this final stretch.
Thank you.
And in the postseason, because it's coming.
Yep.
Thanks, Paolo.